guys, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for being here. Welcome to one of my very few sit downs. I think I've realized over this year actually that I haven't been doing sit downs as much as I used to when I started this channel, but I think it's because I've literally feel like I've spoken about everything under the sun, and this time I'm speaking about maintenance court. I do have a detailed video outside sharing my story. I do have a detailed video of what you need, what's going to happen, but I shot that video when I just started this channel in 2021, so I think a lot of people don't know that the video exists, and it's okay, you don't have to scroll all the way back. For my new subscribers, subscribers from last year to this year, I thought I would do a separate video for you guys. And I think after my last court appearance, I've been receiving a lot of DMs on Instagram and some comments from you guys asking about the process here, this year. So I thought I would do like one video where I consolidate everything. And before I start, I want to say, you guys, I'm answering this from my experience, the best of my ability. This is my story. This is how things went for me. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal advisor. I'm not a magistrate. I'm none of that. I'm just a mother who went through this process, who's been going through this process for the past 3 years. And so whatever I do say, obviously you must take it with a pinch of salt because cases differ. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions. Some I got from Instagram and some I got from YouTube. I'm not going to say who the questions are from because I do understand that not everyone is always ready to do this process. And I do understand that sometimes you want to keep it private until you're actually maybe done with the process, or maybe once you've started. So I'm not going to be saying people's names, but obviously you will know if your question is answered or not. Will you guys believe me if I tell that it's 9:30, but the sun is already going away from me? I'm literally doing this, trying to chase the sun. Oh, you see, look. Oh, maybe I just sit down? Should I sit down? No, you know what? No, I want the sun. Look at how pretty I look with the sun. Okay, let me see if I can try to sit down and do this chat because the sun in my face is just absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I can sit down. If not, I'll be back on this bed. You will know that I failed. Okay, I got the sun for now. Let's just do this quickly because I feel like I'm going to have to move back up on the bed in no time. Okay. Hi Mandy, if your baby daddy is in a different city, what happens? Who travels to court, etc.? My first baby daddy, Alwali's dad, was in a different city, but I'm in Pretoria and Joburg. It's not that bad. But as far as I know, and I've got another friend of mine who's in Cape Town and her baby daddy is in Pretoria, and she recently went through this process. So what happens is you go to your nearest court where you and the child are based. So you go to your nearest court. So let's say for me, I'm in Joburg and I'm in the West. So I go to Roodepoort Court. I do all the applications there, do everything there. Let's say my baby daddy is in Cape Town. So what will happen is, you guys would have seen that personally I prefer to drop off the summons myself. So what happens is when you don't live in the same city is that they will send a sheriff from that court. So if your baby daddy is in Cape Town, like in my case, so I'll go to Roodepoort and Roodepoort will say, okay, cool. Then they send your documents to the court where your baby daddy is. Then they'll send a sheriff to go find him. Personally, I prefer to just do it myself because even when you're in the same city, they do ask you if you want to serve him yourself or should they send a sheriff. I always choose the option to send him myself because A, I'm petty and I want to see his face when I serve him, and B, I'm not really sure how the sheriff things work, but I do have a friend who successfully served her baby daddy. She was based in Cape Town and he was in Pretoria, and they are currently going through court. So now he has to fly to Cape Town all the time for the date. So it doesn't really matter, guys, if you're a different city. You go to your nearest court, you do everything, they will sort it out. But it is important for you to have his address so that they know where to serve him. What do I do if they say the docket or the file is missing? That sounds like fraud, because why is it missing? That for me is a serious case, but I can imagine that you are not in a space to be wanting to go through legal stuff. I would suggest you open another file. I think that the file is missing is probably to tire you out or exhaust you. Try not to. I know it's extremely exhausting. My docket has never been missing and I get exhausted already, so I can't imagine having to redo this process over again. If they say that your file is missing, do it again. Go get your bank statements again, get your pay slips again, get your expenses again. Try not to give up. I think it's just probably your baby daddy paying somebody to make the dockets miss. I remember with Alwande's father, I had asked him if because I didn't want to travel all the way to Pretoria North to go serve him. So I asked him if we could please meet at a nearest police station so that I can serve him. And he kept insisting on wanting the case number. And I remember thinking, why does he want the case number? Then this other friend, our mutual friend, well, he's not his friend anymore. She was just like, don't give him the case number. So I think he just wanted to pay someone to get the docket to go missing, the file to go missing. But even if he did that, I was just gonna be resilient and I was gonna keep doing it again and again and again. I think it's just a way to make you exhausted, but please try not to, when you regain your strength, and go back and file again. If the kids are staying at home and you're in another city, which court must you go to? So most of you guys, actually, I don't even think I've ever told you guys this, that I didn't start the maintenance process 2 years ago. I actually started this maintenance process when Alwande was 3 or 4. I was with my ex at the time, and he was a lawyer, and he encouraged me to actually start this process. We lived in downtown Joburg, but Alwande lived at home with my mom. I went to court, and I think I was 22 or 23. I was very young, and I remember being there and thinking, they didn't handle me with grace. They didn't handle my case with grace. It was very much where we're supposed to get him, blah, blah. It was very discouraging. But only after I started going back there a couple of times, then I was told that if you are in another city and your child is back home, you can't do it at the city that you are at. Maintenance court is done at the court where the child stays. So for me, I was in Joburg and my child was in Durban, then I would have had to go do this case in Durban. And Nakona, unfortunately, there are some red tapes around who gets to do it. So I think it would be the person who lives with your child can go apply for maintenance. So if you don't live with your child, then you can't. I was willing, it would have been a crime, I guess, but I was just gonna lie and say I live with my child and do it in the Durban court, because I know that my mom, and I know most parents wouldn't actually want to go to court and go fight your baby daddy. But as far as I know, the case is heard where the child stays. So if you are in Joburg and your child is in Mpumalanga, you have to go back to Mpumalanga and apply at your nearest court in Mpumalanga. Is it true that if the baby daddy is married, then his wife is also supposed to pay maintenance? This one is a trigger for me. I've heard and I've read in places that the wife has got nothing to do with the maintenance. But with Milani's dad, when we went to court the first time, he kept saying that he's the breadwinner, all of the family responsibility falls on him, he can't afford to take care of Milani because he's married and blah, blah, blah. And the maintenance officer was just like, oh, what are you married in? And he said in community of property. Then the maintenance officer said, okay, cool, then if you're married in community of property, then you tell your wife to bring her documents here so we can see why are you paying for everything. So I don't think necessarily it was for her to pay for Milani's maintenance, but I think it was for them to see, Uguti, you claim you are married, you're in a double income household, your wife works, but you claim that you pay for everything. How does that work? So I think they wanted to bring her documents for that. I don't necessarily know if she's responsible for it, but I do know that if he had said that he's unemployed or he doesn't have money or whatever, then they ask him, who takes care of you? So then if it's his mother who takes care of him, then his mother is responsible for your child. If it's his wife who takes care of him, then his wife is responsible for your child. Whoever takes care of him, if he claims he's unemployed or he can't afford it, then the person who takes care of him will now be responsible to take care of your child. I hope I'm answering that correctly. Could you kindly take us through the process of shared visitations court so it's fair on both parents? I'm sorry, I have no experience in that. I've never had any of my baby daddies try to visit my children. They've mentioned that they want nothing to do with them, their existence and stuff, so I wouldn't know anything about visitation. But I do know that you can, if you want a parenting plan, you can go to court and apply for it, and then it will be set in stone on paper when and how your baby daddy, your partner, co-parent, whatever, is supposed to come see your child. So I don't think I can't answer this question because I don't have experience in that, because I've got deadbeats. Hi Mandy, I would like to know, do you have to have police escorts when dropping off summons? This man and I work in the same office park and I do not want people in my business. Girl, I feel you. My Milani's dad and I, luckily, I mean, we met at work, but luckily by the time I had to do all of this, I was not working there anymore. But the fact that people who work there know me because they are my ex-colleagues, it was actually also a bit embarrassing. For me, I didn't want also people in my business, but then I realized I have a whole YouTube channel, so they probably in my business anyway. But the police escorting you is for your own safety. Men get really violent and riled up when you are serving them maintenance papers, or when whatever you are doing something that they don't want you to do. So I remember when I first served Milani's dad, we went to Foslora's police station or whatever, and then he was there. By the grace of God, I bumped into him at the police station, but then he tried to run away. But before he ran away, I went inside the police station and I said, I'm here to serve someone, and he's actually here. First thing the cops asked me was, can you go tell him to come inside? And I said, no. And she said, are you scared of him? I said, no, I'm not scared of him, but I don't want to go tell him. And then they said, is he armed? As far as I know, he does carry a firearm, but I was just like, I don't know, but like, he's here. Then they came out with me, but them asking me that made me realize, even the cops know that shit goes down when men are being served maintenance papers. So it is for your own safety. The second time I had to serve Milani's dad, I sent him an email asking if we could meet at our nearest police station, which is this side of town. And he gave me attitude. So I would suggest that if you work in the same office park, if you are on speaking terms, actually Milani's dad and I are not on speaking terms, but I sent him an email. I was just like, do you want to do this or nah? Whether you're on speaking terms or not, send him a message, send him an email and tell him to let's go to the nearest police station. You do need cops because they need to stamp that he got the summons. So A, the cops are there for your protection, and B, they're there for proof that he got it, because he can turn around and say he didn't get them. But if the cops stamp the papers, then it's proof that he got them. So I would suggest that you send him a message. I completely understand why you wouldn't want to do that in your office park. So send him a message and tell him to meet you guys, ask if you guys can meet at the police station, and hopefully he also doesn't want people in his business and it works out. If it doesn't, unfortunately, you will have, the cops are there for your protection, and they're also there to show proof that he was summoned. He did get the summons and he has to appear in court on said date. Does it affect the kids in any way? Girl, I'm sure it does. My children don't know that I'm going through this process. Well, Milan is too young to know. Alwandi, I tried to hide it from her. The only way she would know is if she watches my channel. I know she doesn't. So my children don't know. But I can imagine the day they find out, they will be deeply affected that mom had to drag my dad to court to get him to do the right thing. I can't imagine how that could feel in a child's life, knowing that your father was forced to support you. So I can imagine, I know for sure it affects the children. My aunt, my mother's sister, eldest, went through this process when we were young, and till this day, my cousins, who basically her children, feel some type of way about their father. But I don't know if they feel some type of way because of the court or because they just know that he's a deadbeat and he's trash. But it definitely, I can imagine, affects the children. I will let you know as soon as Alwande finds out, if ever. But I personally try to protect them, and I only speak about it on YouTube, and I know Alwande doesn't watch YouTube. That's, well, not my channel anyway. Hey girl, I just want to know how and where to start, given that he lives 75 kilometers away. I've covered this one. You go to your nearest court, you fill in whatever that you need to fill in, you go with your documents, then it's up to the court to send the summons or the documents to his nearest court so that he can be summoned. The most important thing that you need to have is his address, whether it's his work address or home address. Work address for me always works better because I know you at work between 9 and 5. Home address, it's difficult because when do we serve you? These sheriffs are going to say they don't work on weekends. Or I don't know the sheriffs, but it's just that when it comes to the government, I prefer to I don't trust them as much. So if you do have his work address, put his work address. At least we know that he's at work between 8 and 5. You can confirm if he does work. You can call HR if you need to. And another thing that I did with Alwandi's dad, he is, however, killing me. He's also quite far. What I did was I sent the summons to his HR. I emailed them. The HR said, we'll make sure that he gets them. I tried to serve him and I couldn't find him, but he did show up in court, and I had that thing where HR said they're going to serve it to him. So I was lucky. I served him through his HR. I don't know if that's allowed, but I served him through his HR, and I first went to him to go look for him, and I couldn't find him at his house. And my next big thing was, let me serve him through his HR. HR responded and said, we'll make sure he gets this. And I was lucky. So if you don't feel like going through the process of trusting the system and trusting the sheriffs that they'll serve him, if you know where he works, find the HR contact and tell the HR that he needs to show up in court. That worked for me. I don't know if maybe I was just lucky, but it worked for me. Which documents do they want? Can I go with my grandma? Am I allowed, or only her? I'm not sure. Are you the mother? Why do you need to go with your grandmother? I'm not sure with this question. But they need documents. They need is your 6 months bank statement. They need your 6 months salary slip. If you don't have a salary slip or you don't work, you tell them. In my case, recently when I had to apply for the increase with Milani's dad, I don't have a salary slip because I haven't been formally employed. I've been contracted. I'm freelancing here or there, and I told them that I don't have a pay slip because I don't have a formal job. So is that your lease is important if you're renting. They say they want your proof of resident, but they don't want your or like utility bills. They always told me all the times that I've been different courses that I've went to, they told me that it's the lease. They want your lease. What else? Your certified ID, child certified birth certificate, and that's about it. And your expenses. So with expenses, I know a lot of people always think, oh, but I'm not gonna keep slips. Nobody keep receipts. Well, I don't anyway. So it's the big ones, like your child's school fee sends you an invoice. Keep that. Your electricity bill, that's needed. Creche fees is spoken about. Clothes, food, groceries. Obviously, we don't keep all of that, but just have an idea of how much you spend. And I would suggest that you swipe as much as you can so that it reflects on your bank statement, so you don't need all these little pay slips that you think that you might need when you get there. Yeah, the most important ones: 6 months bank statement, 6 months salary slip, your certified copy of your ID, certified copy of your child's birth certificate, and all the expenses that you can find. I want to know if baby daddy is forced to help with gynecologist money. I'm pregnant. Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, he's only responsible for the child once the child has been born. So I would suggest you keep the receipts for your gynecologist or whatever, but I'm not sure how you can claim it back. But as far as I know, he's only responsible for the child once the child has an ID number, I guess. I just want to know when we are beating up deadbeats, because Mnandi ready. Cindy, wake me up at 3 o'clock when it's time to beat them up. I will be leading the pack, you guys. I can't wait. The day we beat them up, we burn them, whatever it is, I can't wait. I'm going to be there. Hi there, Mandy. In the case the father of my kids is not working, what happens then? I think I covered this a bit. So if he's not working, if he's not working, who's taking care of him? The fact that he's alive, the fact that he's eating, he's clothed, he's got clothes on his back, he eats, he drinks, he does whatever. Who's taking care of that? Who's funding that? So if it's his mother, then his mother is responsible for your child. If it's his wife, his girlfriend, whoever funds him, because as an unemployed person, you eat, you get dressed, whatever the case is. So it is a bit difficult. It is a bit tricky from what I've heard, but from what I know, whoever funds him, whoever takes care of him is responsible to take care of the child. I've seen a lot of cases where people take the grandparents to court because the father is not complying. So you can definitely take the grandparents, the paternal grandparents to court, and they're going to have to figure it out because that's their blood. And also, if their son is not working and they're taking care of their son, then they need to take care of all his son's responsibilities. I have a baby daddy who ghosted me when I was pregnant. Oh, baby. Oh, he's self-employed. I don't know his ID number. I want to start the process, but I'm told I need his ID number and address. you do need his address, unfortunately. With the ID number, it's whatever. I've luckily in my case, because I guess we were dating with I was dating these men, so I had their ID numbers. With Milani's dad, I even lived with him, so I had his documents, I had his ID number. But when I got there, I realized that I didn't actually need it. The most important thing you need is an address. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about finding a tracer for his address. With Alwande's dad, I had his ID number, but I didn't know where he lived and I didn't know where he worked. So I found a tracer. Unfortunately, the tracer that I used, she was so cheap, you guys. She was 250, and you only paid her for a successful trace. Unfortunately, she does not do that business anymore. So on the description box, I will link the Facebook group that I'm part of. I've been part of this group for the past 3 years. This group has everything that you need. It has tracers, it has lawyers, it has legal advisors. Most of them do these things pro bono or at a very, very cheap price. And most importantly, it has women who go through the same things that we go through, and they post about it. They'll post about, oh, today was my court days, this is what happened. So almost like they're preparing you for yours. It's called Child Maintenance Difficulties in South Africa. That's where I got my tracer the first time. So I suggest you go to that group, you join it. It's a private group, so they'll assess you and then they'll accept you. The nice thing about that group is that you can post anonymously. So you can post anonymously asking for a tracer to help you. There's a lot of tracers there, so please go for a tracer. In my case, it was easier to trace Alwande's dad because I had his ID number, but it is important to have his phone number. If he ghosted you when you were pregnant, I don't know if you might, he probably changed his phone number, but you will need his phone number for them to have something to work on. His name and surname is not going to be enough, because how many, I almost said my baby daddy's names, but how many Smusi Kize are there out there, you know? So you might need to have his phone number, but I'll definitely link the group that I'm part of where I got my tracers details. You can also find more tracers there. How does Alwande feel about her friends seeing you speak about your two deadbeats in public? Who's Alwande's friends, and are you Alwande's friend? I don't know. Alwande's never said anything to me, and why shouldn't I speak about her deadbeat father in public? I'm not in the business of protecting deadbeats. I'm in the business of protecting my children. I'll never stop. If it makes her feel some type of way, Alwande is very vocal. She would have told me. As mentioned earlier, my children Alwande does not know that I've taken her father to court. She does not know the things that are happening behind the scenes. The only way she would know is if she watches my YouTube channel, and I know that she doesn't. But if she has seen my YouTube channel and she knows that I've taken her father to court, I would know about it because she would ask me about it. She's very, very vocal. So me speaking about my two deadbeats in public, I will always speak about them in public because I'm not protecting them. My business is to protect, my job is to protect my children. And if she feels some type of way, then we'll talk about it. But she will always have to understand that I'll never stop. This is just something that I will do, and I'll never stop speaking publicly about this. We'll sort it out together as mother and daughter, but so far, she doesn't have any feelings. Is it possible for foreigners? Oh, I don't know. It should be. It should be if you both are in the country. Hey, I don't know about this one, babe. I don't want to answer it because even on the group, the Facebook, you know what, for this one, I think I've seen questions about this on the Facebook group. As mentioned, I'll link the Facebook group below. Child maintenance difficulties in South Africa. You will find women who go through the similar situations as you. I'm thinking of going there to do an increase since I'm now unemployed. Is that process fast? Yeah, I recently, with Milani's dad, I was going there for an increase. I went in the last week of November, no, the first week of December, Monday of December, I went there and I got the note to go serve him same day. And our court date was in February. So in 2 months, in 2 months, he didn't show up the first time. And then our case was postponed to April last week, where he showed up, and then we concluded everything. So I would say that the process was fast. What makes the process slow, you guys, is your deadbeat. Your deadbeat is the one who makes the process slow. Your deadbeat is the one who makes the process difficult, because my deadbeat, Milani's dad, the first time I took him to court, he didn't bring any documents, even though he knew he was supposed to bring documents. The second time I took him to court, he didn't show up the first time. So he's the one who delayed the process, not the system itself. So that's what I would say. But it was quite fast. 3 months, 3-4 months. The process is, I would say that is fast. It's just that hopefully you have someone who's willing to comply. But I mean, fuck, I almost said hopefully. I mean, I just said hopefully you have someone who's willing to comply. If they don't want to take care of their child, chances are they don't want to comply with court either. So it might take longer than you want, but it depends on him. Can a person change their payments date via HR? Because I didn't get payment this month. I'm assuming that you are getting your debit, you're getting your money via garnish order. You will, if you don't get the money, you're gonna have to go back to court, my love. It's maybe he changed his jobs, or if you don't mind, call his HR and tell them that you didn't get your money. Because if it's a garnish order, it's their responsibility to make sure that you get your money. So I would suggest you call HR and find out if he still works there. Maybe he changed jobs. If he didn't change jobs, whether he changed jobs or not, he's still liable to pay. So go back to court and let the courts know. Take your bank statements and let the court know that there's no money that came through your account. But I would suggest you call the HR first and find out what's happening. You know, I did that. I didn't call them. I went on Twitter and I was just like, Samsung, where's my money at? So you might not want to go on Twitter, but call the HR. It's that simple. Call the HR. Hey mans, it's Amanda here. Well, hey mans, since sis, your maintenance journey required a paternity test. No, my journey didn't require a paternity test. Both of them, because when you get there, the first thing they ask him is that, does he know you, and is the child in question his? So both of them did not deny their children's paternity. They were just like, yeah, that's my child, let's keep it moving. But if your journey requires a paternity test, the person who asked for the paternity test, which is the deadbeat, he has to pay for it. He pays for it via court. It's done via court, and then you see each other the next time. And obviously the results are going to be 99.9%, because as a woman, I know for sure you wouldn't go to court and take someone that you're not sure about. So I know that the results are going to be 99.9%, and he knows it too. So if he requires if your journey requires a paternity test, it's fine, go to court. He's going to have to bring it up though. Don't you bring it up. He's going to bring it up that he wants a paternity test. Then the court is going to tell him that he's going to have to pay for it. And then you get a new date with the results, and process continues from there. How does it affect one emotionally? My God. Where do I start? I think I say this all the time, that the court maintenance journey has been the most emotionally draining thing I've ever done in my entire life. It affects you emotionally because you go and you sit next to someone you were once in love with. You go and sit next, oh well, in my case, I know that not all of us make babies through love. Sometimes we just meet people who make babies. Sometimes it's one night stands or whatever. But in my case, having to sit next to someone you were once in a loving relationship with and hear them dog you out like that, and hear them dog your child out, it is very, very painful. Someone who, with Milani's dad, was very, very difficult, because when I told him I was pregnant, he was happy. And then 3 years later, you are doing this. So it's almost just like, what do you mean? Like you sitting next to someone who just does a 180 on you, speaks ill of you, speaks ill of your child, speaks of your child as an inconvenience. Lapo, you love your child to death. Your child is the most amazing person that you know, and having to listen to that is very, very draining. Having to take a day off from work or whatever day off, whatever it is, to go sit in court. Luckily, I've never been in court later than 12 noon. It's never been out sitting in court the entire day, but still spending half my day in court when I could have spent half the day being a mother, where I could have spent half the day being myself. Oh, guys, the emotional turmoil the court's maintenance journey has, it's crazy. And it's not because of the courts itself, it's not because of the system, it's because of the deadbeat you're going to be sitting next to. Can maintenance be in form of accommodation just for a short period until I'm financially dependent? I don't think so. No, it needs to be money, because how do they prove? I don't know, actually, let me not. But how do they prove that you are safe in your accommodation? It needs to be money, babe. And no, this one, I don't think this one is for the maintenance court. This one is probably, I don't know what court this is for. When arresting a person for maintenance, will they go if they have missed a few payments? No. So if they've missed a few payments, you go to your court and tell them they've missed a few payments. Then they're going to send summons again. They're going to tell you to go serve him the summons so that he comes back to court and discuss why isn't he paying or whatever. I'm not sure, but I do know that you will have to go back to court and tell them that he's missing payments. Then they will tell you what happens. But your point of contact is always the court first. How does the process work if the primary caregiver is currently unemployed? It works the same, baby. You just take your bank statements, which will prove that you have no income coming in. You do not have a salary slip. You take whatever documents you have. It works the exact same way. If anything, it should work better for you because you've got nothing to contribute except giving the child a roof. So please, the fact that you're unemployed, don't let that tear you down. And sometimes, unrelated but related, I know that I've heard a lot of women saying, oh, but I earn more than him. When I started this process with Milani's dad, I knew I earned more than him, but I still took him to court and he still paid. Whether you earn 100,000 and he earns 10,000, it is the child's responsibility. It's 50-50. So it doesn't matter who earns more. It doesn't matter who's unemployed. The child needs to be taken care of by whom? Both parents. So if you are currently unemployed and you are the primary caregiver, you obviously, the child lives with you. That is already a lot. You are already taking care of the child. So take your documents, take your bank statements. They will show that you don't work, and start the process. Please, if anything, I encourage you to please start the process. How does it serving work if baby daddy moved to a different province? I've covered this. Go to your nearest court. They will get the sheriff from his nearest court to serve him. These are all the ones from Instagram. I'm going to be answering some YouTube now, but I'm going to stretch because sitting down in your 30s is not the same as when you sit down in your teens. PRP. Okay, I'm back. Let's get to the ones I asked on YouTube. The questions are more or less the same, so I'm going to answer the ones that I haven't covered from Instagram. I am a big fan of watching you from Limpopo. You're such a strong woman. I want to take my baby daddy to court, but I'm just scared I don't have the courage. Please help. Babe, I don't know how to help with courage. That is something that has to come from within. I always say that it looks like, I can imagine that it looks like I just woke up and decided, to take these men to court. I didn't. It took 12 years. Luanda's dad hasn't been part of her life since she was born. And when she was 13, then I decided to go to court. It is not a simple decision to just wake up and make, because we always tend to feel sorry for our deadbeats. Society tells us we shouldn't be mad, we shouldn't take them to court. Society tells us to be strong and raise our children alone, and you internalize that and you almost feel scared to start the process. So I don't know how to encourage you. I don't know how to give you courage or help with courage. That is something that has to come from within. You will know when you're ready. You will know. He will probably trigger you and you're going to be like, actually, it's time. I would say, I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys. Both situations, especially with Milani's dad, literally the reason why I went to court was coming from a place of anger, bitterness, and hurt. And what's motivated me. Then when I got there and I realized, the system is actually on my side, then I got the courage to take Alwanda's dad. Alwanda's dad, I was not hurt, I was not bitter, I was not crazy, I was not angry. I just needed back. What encouraged me with Alwanda's dad is because when I reached out to him and said, nigger, it's been 14 years, I'm here to collect. Then he said, oh, so you want me to stop taking care of my boys for her? Then I was just like, let me show you. So for me, both times have really been motivated by anger and hurt and bitterness, and how they talk about my children that way. So I don't know if I actually had the courage or I got the courage as I went along, but you need to find something that's going to motivate you. Maybe he must trigger you. I don't know what it is, but courage, it comes from within. I don't know what to tell you. Hi Mandy, could you please explain the process you went through with your tracer and mention their details? As mentioned earlier, you guys, my tracer does not. I used to share her number a lot, but she does not work in that field anymore. She told me she quit. And so what I will do, as said earlier, is link the Facebook group where I found my tracer. And you guys can also maybe just ask. You can ask anonymously. You can ask as yourself. It's up to you. And there's a lot of people there who are willing to help, and they are not expensive. As mentioned, I think my tracer was 200 or 250, but only with a successful. You only pay if the trace was successful. How to claim maintenance when we live in two different provinces. We haven't spoken in 2 years, and I don't know where he lives. Babe, you're gonna have to find a tracer. As mentioned, Facebook group. I'll link their details here. Do you have to know the physical location of baby daddy to serve him? Yes. That you do not leave the court. You can't fill those forms without his address. You need to have either his work address or his home address. If you don't have either, then you're gonna have to utilize a tracer, have to utilize your friends, create burner accounts, guys. If you have to create social media burner accounts where you stalk them. Stalk, guys. Before you even get to tracers, try to do the work yourself. If you don't have the energy, ask your friends to stalk him. Not in the day of social media. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, somewhere his work company name is there, or whatever. Stalk if you have to, create burner accounts if you have to, or just maybe do the right thing and just go through a tracer. But before we even get to a tracer, I would say create a burner account, baby. Or let me know what's his full name or surname. DM me his full name and surname, and I'll find him. I hope. Is it something you can do on behalf of someone else? Is there any clauses that perhaps include the third parties? Don't know if I'm making sense. You're making sense, clause. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do it on behalf of someone else unless you live with the child. So the person who can apply for maintenance is the person who lives with the child. If it's your mother, then she can. If it's the aunt, then whoever lives with the child can. But if I live with the child and you as my friend want to do it on my behalf, unfortunately you can. I need to be there. I stay in Joburg and the father is in Cape Town. I don't know where he's staying in Cape Town. I only found where he works via LinkedIn. So I did go to maintenance in East London about 2 years ago because that's where my daughter is based. Then she moved to Joburg to stay with me. So every time I would go to court, they'll tell me there are no sheriffs available. See, I'm not even done reading Mommy's story here. And it's that thing, Guti, it's that sheriff thing. You can definitely do it if you are in two different sides of the world, but it's that sheriff thing. Guys, if you have the money, if you are in Joburg and he's in Cape Town and you have the money, take a flight and go serve him yourself. Take a flight to visit a friend. It's that sheriff thing. And I'm glad that Mommy here covered it because yes, guys. Okay, let me finish. They would tell me there are no sheriffs available to serve him to a point where they asked if I'm available to travel to Cape Town to go to the police station. Yes, and asked to serve him at work. So traveling back and forth for nothing became a lot for me. The money I could have spent on my daughter, traveling back and forth. I felt like in EL they were failing, so now I want to go to Randburg Court where I'm based. But my issue is we're still in different cities and don't know what to expect. Unfortunately, Mommy, this is just it. That's what I was trying to say about earlier. About you can do it in different cities, but it's always going to be a problem with the sheriff. They will always, when it comes to the government, guys, I don't trust them. And I understand what you mean. Now they're traveling. Now you have to take a flight to Cape Town when you could just be using that money to take care of your daughter. But if you know where he works, I suggest you try to go through his HR first before you start flying in and out. I know I did it. Even though my baby daddy is in Pretoria North and I'm in Joburg West, it's still quite far, but I went through his HR. With Alwanda's dad, I went through his HR. Luckily, they told him that they served him, and luckily, he showed up in court. So, if it's possible, you know where he works, go through his HR. If they are just as stupid as he is, then I would suggest that you maybe take a flight on a day you know he gonna be at work. It's emotionally and financially exhausting and physically exhausting, but I feel your pain. I feel your pain when you say, Guti, you are based in now you want to go to Randburg Court, but he's still in Cape Town, I assume, and you don't know what to expect. Chances are you're going to get the exact same thing. And this is where the discouraging part comes in. Hi Mandy, this is not regarding a maintenance court, but I want your opinion on a matter I'm facing. I had a baby when I was still in high school with the girl that I was dating, whose family was my family friends. After she fell pregnant, our families fought and her family wanted nothing to do with me or my family. Oh boy. They made sure that we didn't have access to the child or the mother of the child. Up until today, our family is our Begani, and I don't have a relationship with my child. I try from time to time to contact my Mwengani because she's grown now. She changes numbers every time after speaking to me. She wants me to be part of the child's life, but she's scared of her family. She's dependent on them, and they are helping her with the child. I want to go to her family and apologize and try to make things right, but my challenge is that I'm unemployed. I'm scared that if they will give me an opportunity and I fail because I don't have financial means and I'll never get the chance again, what do I do? My family advises against me trying, but I want to be back. It breaks my heart. I've got 2 deadbeats who are able, financially able, physically able to be part of their child's life. and all I want them is to be part of their child's life. So it breaks my heart when I see there are men who are like this, who are going through this, where I want to be part of the child's life and your baby mama also wants to, but that unfortunately it's bigger than you guys, the families, and both of you are dependent on your families. Firstly, for you to say that you are scared that if they give you an opportunity, you'll fail because you don't have the financial means, please try to put that out of your mind. Presence, your physical presence, is way more important than your financial presence. Yes, umntwana akakhuliswa uthando only. Yes, we need money to raise our children, but for the longest time, both my baby daddies, I've said to them, if you can't help me out financially, at least be there physically for your children. And because the presence for me has always been more important than the money. If I could, I would get my baby daddies to keep their little sense and be part of my children's lives physically, because I feel like that's way more important. So please don't ever feel as if you would have failed just because you can't financially take care of your child. Your presence is way more important than money. And I'm so sorry that both you and the mother of your child are not in positions to make your own decisions because you're financially dependent on the families. Now it just sounds like a pride thing from both families. Your family has pride, her family has pride. But the most important person here is the child. I want to advise you to go to court and ask for a parenting plan and visitation rights, but that might just make things even worse with the families because now you're involving the law. I don't even know what to say to you, sir, but I'm very, very proud of you and the mother of your child. For one, you guys know the bigger picture, which is the child. That's the most important part here. That's the most important person here. And money is not everything. Honestly, yes, guys, umntana akakhuliswa uthando, but umntana uyakhuliswa uthando. So please, if possible, I know this was going against the eldest wishes. Parent in secret. You and your baby mama, parent in secret. Meet at the park once in a while. Meet wherever. Nobody has to know. Who has to know that you guys are thinking? Until you guys get to a point where you can sit your families down and tell them, listen, but I understand when you're financially dependent on your parents, it's their way or the highway. I would suggest that you guys parent in secret. It seems like she's also willing, but she's scared. You're willing, but you're scared. Parent in secret, guys. The child is the most important person here until the adults sort out their issues, their pride, their egos, because literally at this point, it's just an ego and pride game between the two families. But you, the parents of the child involved, are the most important people here, and especially the child. You guys want to parent, and I would suggest that you just do it in secret until people sort themselves out, or until you guys are in a financial situation where you don't need your families financially, where you can actually tell them, listen, this is what I'm doing for my child. I know what it's like to be financially dependent on abantu abadala. You do feel like you don't have a say. You do feel like you don't have a word. You feel like your opinion doesn't matter because awuna mali and you're dependent on them. But when it comes to your child, your presence matters. Your opinion matters. Your child wants you more than they want your money. I know that for sure. And it breaks my heart that you are going through this. It breaks my heart that your baby mama is also going through this, because it seems like you guys want what's best for your child, but abantu abadala and their pride and their egos are standing in the way. I hate that this was my last question. I don't know why I hated my last question, but this was my last question. I hope that I answered you guys. As mentioned, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal advisor, I'm not a magistrate, I'm not a maintenance officer. I'm just a mother who decided to embark on this journey 3 years ago, and everything that I'm telling you is coming from my experience, and it's coming from my friends' experience. It's coming from the stories I've seen in this group that I'm telling you guys. I please, guys, I beg you. I know not a lot of people are on Facebook. Create a burner account once again. Please create a burner account. Join this group. I love this group because you can post anonymously. You can post as yourself if you're feeling like you can. But I do know with the maintenance journey, most of us, you don't want to go in full on. So please, if you're not ready to show yourself, go post anonymously. Or maybe just don't post. Go there and just go read other women's stories. Not every time, a week or 2 weeks before I have to go to court, I go to that group, I read the stories, and I see, okay, cool, this is similar to mine, and I read the comments. It's so encouraging. It's so empowering. You go to court knowing what to say. You go to court even, I've mentioned that I've had great experiences with maintenance officers, but I know that it's not the case for everyone else. Even there's empowering stuff, education stuff about what to do if your maintenance officer is shitty, what to do if the magistrate is shitty. There are so much information in that group, and I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for that group. I wouldn't have gotten to this place if it wasn't for this group. So as mentioned, I will link the group on my description box. Please, 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 guys, do yourself a favor. If YouTube doesn't allow me to link the group is called, I'll write it here, Child Maintenance Difficulties in South Africa. It's a private group. You request to join, they accept you, and good luck with your process. I do encourage everybody, once you're strong enough emotionally, or once you've gathered your courage, do it. Also, maybe don't even wait to gather courage. Maybe you will never feel like you're ready. Just go and see what happens. If you feel like it's too much for you, you can pause the case and regain your strength and go back. But you have nothing to lose when you go to court. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but mama, let me tell you, the system is on the child's side, which is your side. So do not worry about a lot of things. Do not stress out. You're not there. You're not in court to prove that you can or cannot take care of your child. He is there to prove that. All you are going there to say is, listen, taking care of a child is 50-50 responsibility. Worse when you're the primary caregiver. As mentioned, I don't never want to sound like a broken record, but when it comes to this, I want to say it over and over and over again until it stays in your guys' mind, until it lives rent-free in your mind. The court system is not against you. The court system, you might find a maintenance officer's got attitude here and there, but they have to do their job at the end of the day, and their job is to protect your child and make sure that your child is being taken financially care of by both parents. I hope that I've answered everyone's questions. I hope that I've answered them sufficiently. I hope that you guys received, if your question wasn't answered, but I hope that you received some encouragement to start this process. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.